My wife's pregnancy app notification popped up on our shared iPad. Week 12, preparing for your first trimester screening. But we haven't been intimate in 6 months. And that's when I knew our marriage was built on something much darker than I ever imagined. My name is Nathan. I'm 35 years old, and I've been married to Claire for 7 years. We met in graduate school, both studying architecture, bonded over late nights in the design studio, and shared dreams of building sustainable housing. She was brilliant, driven, passionate about making the world better. I fell hard. We got married right after graduation, moved to Seattle together, both landed good jobs at respected firms. For the first few years, everything was golden. We were partners in every sense, building our careers, buying our first house, talking about starting a family someday. Then things started shifting in ways I didn't fully understand, until it was too late. About 8 months ago, Claire became distant. Not dramatically, not in a way that set off immediate alarms, just gradually pulling away. She started working late more often, claimed her current project was demanding, a high-profile, sustainable development that could make her career. I believed her, because I wanted to. Because doubting your wife feels like doubting yourself. Our physical relationship suffered first. She was always too tired, too stressed, had headaches or early meetings. 6 months ago, intimacy stopped completely. I tried talking about it, suggested couples therapy, asked if something was wrong. She said I was overreacting, that work stress was temporary, that we'd reconnect once her project deadline passed. I accepted that explanation because the alternative was too painful to consider. Then came that Tuesday morning. Claire had already left for work when I sat down with coffee and our shared iPad to check emails. A notification banner dropped down from the top of the screen. Baby Center app, week 12 of your pregnancy. Your baby is now the size of a plum. I stared at it, brain refusing to process what I was seeing. We didn't have a pregnancy app. Claire wasn't pregnant. We hadn't even tried to get pregnant because we hadn't been intimate. I clicked the notification. The app opened to a detailed pregnancy tracker. Conception date, approximately 12 weeks ago. Due date, 6 months from now. Week-by-week photos she'd been taking of her barely there bump, progression shots I'd never seen because she'd been hiding this from me. My hands went numb. The coffee cup felt like it might slip from my fingers. 12 weeks meant conception happened 4 months into our intimacy drought, which meant the baby wasn't mine, couldn't be mine. Simple biology. But the pregnancy app also had a partner login feature. I was listed as the partner. She'd added me to track the pregnancy together, except she'd never told me about the pregnancy at all. I scrolled through her notes in the app. Doctor appointments I knew nothing about. Prenatal vitamins she'd been taking in secret. Names she was considering. All of it happening in parallel to our life together. A shadow pregnancy I was supposed to be part of, but had been completely excluded from, until a notification accidentally revealed the truth. I called my office, said I was sick, and spent the day digging through everything. Her phone was password protected, had been for months, which itself was new. We'd always known each other's codes, had nothing to hide, or so I thought. Her laptop was locked in her home office, but the iPad was logged into her cloud storage. I found everything there. Photos from doctor visits showing ultrasounds, the tiny blob that would become a person, dated and time-stamped. 12 weeks along exactly. Text message screenshots she'd backed up. conversations with someone named Alex. The messages made my stomach turn. Intimate messages, love confessions, excitement about the baby. Our baby, Alex wrote. I can't wait to meet our daughter. Claire responded with heart emojis and photos of her growing belly taken in our bathroom mirror. Alex wasn't just some affair partner. Looking deeper into the messages, I pieced together the whole story. Alex worked at Claire's firm, was the lead designer on the project she'd been obsessed with for months. They'd been seeing each other for over a year, long before the physical intimacy stopped between Claire and me. The pregnancy was planned. They wanted this baby. The messages discussed how they'd tell me when the right time would be, how they'd handle the divorce. Claire wrote that she wanted to wait until after the first trimester to make sure the pregnancy was viable before blowing up our marriage. Practical, calculated, like she was planning a building project instead of destroying a 7-year relationship. I sat in our living room, in the house we bought together, looking at the life we'd built, and realized it was all a facade. Every smile over the past year was a lie. Every I love you was empty. Every morning she kissed me goodbye before going to work to be with him and planned their future was a betrayal so deep I couldn't find the bottom of it. She was growing another man's child inside her body while coming home and sleeping next to me every night. The cruelty of that felt almost incomprehensible. When Claire came home that evening, I was sitting in the dark living room with the iPad on the coffee table, pregnancy app still open. She flipped on the light, saw me, saw the screen, and her face went through every emotion in seconds. Fear, guilt, defiance, then resignation. She didn't apologize. That's what broke me more than anything. She stood in the doorway, with her coat still on, and said she'd been planning to tell me soon, that she didn't want it to happen this way. But she wasn't sorry about the baby or about Alex. She said she'd fallen out of love with me over a year ago, that I'd become boring and predictable, that Alex understood her in ways I never could. She said the baby was a blessing, and she wouldn't let me make her feel guilty about finding real happiness. I asked when she was planning to tell me. She said after the 20-week ultrasound, once they knew the baby was healthy, once the risk of miscarriage dropped significantly. She'd been doing the math, calculating the least inconvenient time to destroy my life. I told her to leave. She said it was her house too, which was legally true. We'd bought it together, both names on the deed. But I couldn't be in the same space with her anymore. Couldn't breathe the same air. She packed a bag, called someone, probably Alex, and left within an hour. I changed all the locks that night, even though my lawyer later told me that was legally questionable. I didn't care. The next day, I filed for divorce. Washington is a no-fault divorce state, which meant her infidelity didn't matter in terms of asset division. But it mattered to me. It mattered for the narrative, for the truth, for my sanity. My lawyer said we'd have to split everything 50-50 regardless. The house, the savings, the retirement accounts. 7 years of building a life together cut down the middle like we were dividing office supplies. The worst part was telling people. My parents were devastated. They'd loved Claire, considered her a daughter. My mom cried when I explained that Claire was pregnant with another man's baby, that the marriage was over. My friends were split. Some were supportive, angry on my behalf. Others seemed to think there must be more to the story, that marriages don't fall apart without both people contributing to the breakdown. Maybe they were right. Maybe I had become boring. Maybe I'd stopped seeing Claire as a person and started seeing her as a comfortable fixture in my life. But that didn't justify what she did. Didn't justify the lying, the secret pregnancy, the year of betrayal while pretending everything was fine. Claire's family took her side completely. Her mother called me selfish for not understanding that Claire had found real love, that I should be happy for her instead of vindictive. Her father sent me an email saying I'd never deserved Claire anyway, that Alex was twice the man I could ever be. The cruelty was breathtaking. They acted like I was the villain for being upset that my wife got pregnant by another man and hid it from me for 3 months. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. During that time, Claire's pregnancy progressed. I'd see updates on social media from mutual friends who'd chosen her side, photos of her growing belly at baby showers I wasn't invited to, gender reveal parties where they announced they were having a girl. The life she was building with Alex looked perfect from the outside, glossy and beautiful, while I was falling apart in a half-empty house that still smelled like her perfume. The final divorce decree came through 2 weeks before Claire's due date. We split everything exactly in half. I had to buy her out of the house at market value, which meant draining my retirement and taking on a massive mortgage I could barely afford alone. She moved in with Alex officially into a trendy loft downtown near their firm. They sent out birth announcements when the baby arrived. A daughter named Luna, 8 pounds, healthy, perfect. The announcement had a photo of the 3 of them, Alex holding Claire, Claire holding Luna, all of them glowing with new family joy. I wasn't supposed to get the announcement, but someone forwarded it to me thinking I'd want to know. I didn't. Now I live alone in a house that's too big, working on architecture projects that feel meaningless, trying to figure out who I am without the identity I built around Claire's husband. My therapist says I'm depressed, which seems obvious. She asks me what I learned from the experience. I don't know how to answer that. What lesson is there in discovering that someone you trusted completely was living a double life? That love can be faked perfectly for years? That you can share a bed with someone every night and have no idea they're carrying another man's child? The only thing I learned is that human beings are capable of extraordinary deception when it serves their interests. Sometimes I drive past their building downtown. I don't know why. Maybe hoping to see something that makes sense of it all. Some visible sign that their relationship is as flawed as ours was. But I never see anything except evidence of their happiness, their new family, their future that doesn't include the wreckage they left behind. Claire got everything she wanted. A baby, a partner who excites her, a fresh start. And I got the aftermath, the questions, the trust issues that bleed into every potential relationship I might consider. Dating apps feel impossible. How do you swipe right when you know how perfectly someone can pretend to love you while planning their exit? My lawyer said I could sue for emotional distress, that the level of deception might constitute intentional infliction of emotional harm. But I couldn't. What would be the point? Money wouldn't fix what's broken inside me. A court judgment wouldn't make me trust again. So I let it go. As much as you can let go of something that fundamentally changed who you are. I focus on work, spend time with the few friends who stuck around, and try not to think about the fact that somewhere in this city, there's a child who exists because my wife betrayed me. A little girl named Luna, who'll grow up never knowing that her mother's happiness was built on the destruction of someone else's life. That's what haunts me most. Not that Claire left, not even that she cheated, but that she could be so cruel and feel so justified that she could look at me across our living room and say she wasn't sorry, that her happiness mattered more than my devastation. Maybe that's what love becomes sometimes. A calculation where someone decides you're worth less than what they could have instead. And there's nothing you can do except survive it and hope that eventually, someday, it stops feeling like drowning.